Not the Footy Show. Forward sizzle.
I wouldn't read too much into what he said because he's just trying to keep them united. He's not trying to fracture them because there's quite a few that like Griffin. And if he hangs Griffin out to dry, he'll lose Hunt for sure. I think Hunt will go anyway, and we'll talk about that. I'll expand upon that.
Yeah, it was disappointing. Player in the bin, they get 2 or 3 tries and that. It was just, it just wasn't how we wanted to play, and it was just loose with the ball.
Yeah, I do think the effort was there for most of the game, but it's just schoolboy errors that really hurt us. We just gave them too much ball. And Hook said they scored tries off some of our errors, and it's young guys are trying hard, but it's just not coming off.
Yeah, it's disappointing, particularly just the way we played tonight. The last 5, period we played, some really good footy, but tonight, our execution just, was nowhere near where it needed to be, and that was the whole crux of the game. I thought if we executed better and we're just a little bit more patient, we were going to get our chance to win the game through the 80 minutes, but we just never give ourselves a chance. I'll just, digest this game. We'll get on with it. The game's just finished. Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
G'day, everybody. Well, it's been a long hiatus, not the Footy Show style, because this is episode 291, and the last one we did, Coxsmith, was in round 6. So welcome back to a little show we like to call Hooked, because Anthony Griffin, the Griffin's Biscuits era at the Dragons is over. I'm Warrick Nicolson, that's Robb Cox. You've got episode 291 and not the Footy Show. Took your coach getting punted for us to reunite, my friend.
Yes, well, friends get together when they celebrate, don't they? Usually. So, Griffin's gone, mate, and should have been gone before this year began. To be honest, I mean, I don't want to lay. I've already laid the boot into him a couple of times when he was still there. Just because he's left doesn't really give me carte blanche to lay the boot in. But what I will say is that the players did him no favours. He obviously didn't have all the room. He had a few of the prominent players, but look, I think this is his 3rd coaching appointment, and he's been fired all 3 times. All I would say to anyone who's looking at coaching him, hiring him as a coach going forward, would be to look at what has he done in the past.
Here's the problem, Coxsmith, and this is the problem: is that you look at his record and you can understand why the Dragons picked him up. If they do exactly what you're saying, because he won 54 games from 100, so 54% pretty much at the Broncos. Then he won 42 from 72 at the Panthers for a 58% winning record. There's a lot of coaches that would kill for a record like that.
Yeah, well, look, mate, I attended a few of their ball sessions, their ball work sessions, and Griffin was nowhere to be sighted. And Uncle Gus had the polo shirt on and was running moves with him. So I'm not sure how much.
We were way ahead of everybody on that curve. If you've listened to it back in the past, people, Gus has been coaching for years. Yep.
I'm not sure that Griffin had too much hands-on to do with the Panthers, to be honest. And I think he became he was just a spare bloke hanging around at the end, and they were looking for something else. His tenure at St. George is regrettable and forgettable, and should be forgotten and moved on. The only thing they shouldn't forget about it is when they're hiring guys, do your due diligence. And when someone starts to get shaky, make a decision quick.
Are they going to do that for the next coach? Because I don't know.
Look, my suggestion would be to whoever was the tipping point person who hired Griffin should go as well.
So this is the end of 2020 that he got the job. So he came in 2021. Yeah. Just for the record, 2.5 years, 22 wins from 58 games at 37.93%. They finished 10th and 12th and 10th, I believe. Yes. 11th, sorry, in 2021, and 8 wins, 16 losses. 10th in 2022, 12 and 12. And this year they're 2 and 8, and they're in 16th position. But that's not last because we've got 17 teams now.
Yeah, look, it's dismal, mate. And like I say, at the end of the day, whoever hired him, if they're still around, should probably do the right thing and depart as well.
Well, is it the Dragons board? Because that seems to be the ones that made this decision when they came out with their press release. How do we start with the Dragons board? Because there's a line that they had when they let him go. I'm just going to open it up because they're just on fire with their media department at the moment. Ryan Webb's the CEO, and this was his comment. He goes, "These decisions are never taken lightly, and on behalf of the club, I want to thank Anthony for all his hard work during his time at the Dragons." Here's the line, Coxsmith, given there are like 2 quotes from him in the whole press release released in their coach. "Unfortunately, our performances over the first 10 games of this season have not met the club's expectations, so it was decided he should finish up his duties this week." So they've judged him on this 10, not the 2 seasons beforehand, which begs the question, Coxsmith, if the Dragons don't win 3 of their last 4, I think it was at the end of last year. Let me just check that. They won their last 3 games last year.
Yeah.
Does he get punted at the end of the year? Because there's a lot of Dragons fans I know that would have loved that to have happened. That I think those 3 wins saved his job somehow. How does a board come to this decision now when the writing was on the wall? They were in 9th spot, pretty much in the thick of the race last year when they beat Manly in round 19. Okay, and they'd had a little bit of a wobble before that, but then they lost the Cowboys, Cronulla, Canberra, all teams fighting for that 8th spot, and then they won 3 in a row at the end of the year, and they finished in 10th. Like, they missed their opportunity. You just got to pull the bandit off then, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. But this is a little bit like someone that buys a crappy car, and it's going well for them, and they all of a sudden decide to try and preach how good the car is. Like this is I guess what they're doing positive reinforcement here.
Yeah.
Somebody at the Dragons said, "Well, he's won the last 3. He's He's an amazing coach. The last 3, they were never in the hunt to get into the finals. And
who'd they beat, Coxsmith? Just out of interest, do you know?
I have no idea, but it was probably someone like West Tigers, Gold Coast, and
the other team that fell away last year,
Warriors.
No, that fell in a heap at the end of last year. Remember, they were top 8 certainties all season, and then they lost like
Manly.
Manly, close. Brisbane.
Right. Okay, well, yeah, Manly and Brisbane both.
So Gold Coast, Tigers, and Brisbane, and a bad Brisbane at that, is what saved his job. So yeah. Look, mate, I think he's obviously going to get paid out for the year. They'll continue paying him his wage, whatever that might be. But going forward, let's put Hook to the side for a moment. Going forward, I really hope dumb people continue to do dumb things, and I really hope that whoever the dopes are that are signing coaches at St George, I do hope that they have some safety measures in place if they get Ryles. Well, that's a done deal, Coxsmith, because Robinson's already pretty much admitted that's happening, which is hilarious.
Right?
Yeah, he's
so if it's a done deal.
Yeah,
if it's a done deal, they're talking 5 years. Now, you know what? I would like to personally some safety measures in place. I know it's not their money, so they don't really care. It's the NRL's money that they pay.
Bingo, nail on the head there, my friend.
But it is the fan base, and the fan base are very tired of this. I think then they need some safety measures in place. If after 2 years they've continued to fail, then he should be put on notice, that, what, next year you've got half a season, bro, and from then we'll make our decision. But, hopefully it works out, but Ryles is untested. Ryles is an Adam O'Brien. Adam O'Brien was the golden haired boy. and he hasn't done a lot. He hasn't really done a lot.
Another one that had to get released out of his Roosters contract as assistant coach early.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so I think we're going to pin all of our hopes as Dragons supporters onto Ryles, and I really hope it works out because I haven't had much to do with Jason Ryles, but from what I hear, he's a good man, a good, honest bloke, and very, very straight shooter. I mean, Anthony Griffin's known as being the same, a good, honest bloke and straight shooter. So hopefully Ryles can connect a bit better with the playing group and probably change some of the playing group. There will be some that will leave. We discussed before the pod started.
Yeah.
I think Ben Hunt will leave. I think Ben Hunt's probably so sour on the club right now that I don't think he could ever come back from that.
Come to Canberra.
Well, I don't know if Canberra's all that good for a Queenslander boy, but I think it'll either be Canberra or Canberra.
Oh, gee whiz. Do you not know your history? Some of the best Queenslanders of all time played at Canberra.
Yeah, I know, but it's different day and age now, mate.
Come on, there's Jack Whiten's money waiting for Benny Hunt. Come down.
Everyone wants a warm holiday and a nice warm place to live.
The coast is only 2.5 hours away. It's the south coast.
Some kind of PR manager for Canberra.
I've got a 1994 Canberra Premiers t-shirt behind me.
I see it. I've got the green on today too, accidentally, by the way.
Mate, we are winners of however many in a row. Thank you very much.
Going well, flying.
You know those dinners that you owe me? Well, I think we're going to add another one to the list because you just sacked your coach.
Mate, I was going to take you to dinner a couple of weeks ago and you wouldn't answer your phone. So
let's start that conversation. I've been left on. Let's just say I've been left on red for a long time with Coxsmith the last month or so. I want to talk about the Griffin McGregor comparison quickly.
Yep.
They persisted for 5 years with Mary, and you look at his record, Mary McGregor, and there was no doubt he needed to go, but he ended up with a 46% winning record from 151 games at the Dragons. They made the finals twice. The highest they finished was the second week finals. His best year was 18 when they won 16 from 26. But it felt like they persisted for at least 1 year too long with him, if not longer. What's fascinating about the Griffin decision is it feels longer than 2.5 years. Is that a fair comment?
Well, I think he's been under the microscope. Yeah, he's been under the microscope for 2 of those 2.5 years.
Yeah,
and maybe wrongly, but everyone expected Griffin to come in and do better than Mary. Obviously, he ends up with a worse record.
Did you feel that? I'm asking as a Dragons fan. Some of the time. Did you think that when they signed him, you'd improve?
No, I was actually one of the ones that didn't. I actually thought that what we were going to see was a coach without any great ideas and just a bit of more of the same. That's what I thought.
Coxsmith. He had some ideas. I got some transfer recruitments.
Well, he had some ideas, and I think one of the things that we punished him about, and one of the things that I think is fact, is that he kept signing old blokes, blokes that were good 5, 6, 7 years ago. When his biggest signing of the beginning of this year was Ben Murdoch-Masila. I've been following rugby league for a long time, and Ben Murdoch-Masila was good about 5 or 6 years ago.
He was better in the UK. He never really set the world on fire here.
When he signed Josh Maguire.
2021 Coxsmith, let me just give you the list, okay?
Go. Yep.
Gerard Beale from the Warriors, Jack Bird from Brisbane, Billy Burns from Penrith, Kate Ellis from Penrith, Puaso Famasuli from the Roosters, who else? Freddie Lussick, I think, via the Roosters, Andrew McCullough from Newcastle, Josh Maguire from North Queensland, and Jermaine Tanua-Brown on a loan from the Warriors. It's just... Jack Bird is the biggest signing he had for the 3 years or 2.5 years he was there. I don't think he was even a Griffin signee, because I think he signed possibly through the middle of 2020 to come for 21. Right. The next year, he added George Burgess. That worked out spectacularly. Jack Gosecki from Manly. Then the Moses and Bai experience, still going. The big name signing, other than there's two other names that he spent a lot of money on, and this just puts you in the perspective of just wow. Francis Molo from the Cowboys, after 15 minutes off the bench for Queensland, they signed into a massive deal. And the other big name was probably the best thing that's worked out for him from a, I guess, form point of view is Moses Sully, who they picked up from Manly, who's actually been a pretty good pickup. Yeah. But there's nothing there. I mean, Musgrove's the other one that would be for this year, along with Murdoch Masilla. But it's so underwhelming. And it's like, well, it worked kind of for me 5 years ago in Brisbane. I might try it again with these guys. And they just feel like, this is going back to when I asked the question about what you expected from Griffin. We watched his press conference from the Cowboys loss. Nothing from that inspires you. No. His first words when they say, "How'd that feel?" He goes, "It was disappointing." It was disappointing. Well, that's a really apt word for the last 2.5 years of the Dragons under Griffin, and I'll be honest, probably under McGregor as well. It's been disappointing.
Oh, mate, look, we haven't. When I say we, the Dragons haven't given their spectators and fans really any hope since Bennett left. And I'm not even being dramatic. I mean, there's just been nothing. I mean, who was the coach after Bennett? Name him.
Pricey.
The water boy, right?
Yeah.
Who was the coach after Price? McGregor, the water boy.
Yeah.
You know, and they've still got, this is the thing, the one thing that annoys me about the Dragons is they've got this thing, they seemingly are the only club that have it. They've got this thing where they're convinced, they're absolutely blindly convinced that they need an ex-player.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
An ex-Dragons player to be the next coach. Geez, that worked out well with McGregor, didn't it? And it really worked out well with Nathan Brown too. I mean, you know, it's frustrating because, you know, I can't remember who was
Stephen Price. Remember that he was also
Steve Price was an ex-player.
97. Yep.
You know, so they keep bringing these ex-players in. They keep failing, and you know, someone famous once said that the definition of stupidity or craziness or whatever is just doing the same thing over and over again and failing and expecting a result sometime. You know, Ryles might be the guy because he's been outside of the Dragons system in good systems like the Storm and the Roosters, and also in English under Eddie Jones in English rugby union for a little while.
There, didn't he? Yeah.
So he might be far enough removed to come back and do the job. But, you know, I said it on a forum this week. You know, someone said, who's going to be the next coach? I think it might have been the NRL roast thing on Instagram. Yeah. And I said, look, unless if the surname is anything other than Ryles, Hasler or Flanagan, we're going to keep seeing what we've seen for the last 13 years.
Not going to be Flanagan.
Because
did you see his comment?
I know it's not going to be Flanagan. Well, it's not going to be Flanagan because Doust has a problem with Flanagan.
Well, everyone should have a problem.
Even though, well, I think I think he's probably the highest credentialed coach because he's done something similar at Cronulla. I know why you've got problems with him, but look,
did you see his comment this week?
No.
He pretty much said, I'm open to any coaching opportunity, but not St. George Illawarra, basically because they passed over him again last year when he was the assistant and tried to white ant Griffin. He's not my kind of guy. He is not my kind of guy, old Flanagan. Sorry.
Look, I don't mind Flanagan. I think Hasler would have been the best of all of them, but it also depends on where Hasler's at.
He's the biggest reset, isn't he? Yeah. Hasler.
Well, it also depends where he's at because, you know, he might just want a payday. I'm not sure. So
Canterbury a few years back from memory.
Hopefully they do their due diligence, though. I hope Ryles is the right man if he's the one, the chosen one. Sounds like he is. And I hope that the contract they give him is flexible in both ways for the coach and for the.
Let's see what they're paying. That's the biggest question here. I just wanted to quickly touch on the interim coach Ryan Carr's comments, and I guess where it sits with you. The long and the short of it is people that he's showing confidence in his team. He's, you know, you mentioned this before we got on air. He's trying to galvanise the club. There's a comment here that I just want to. There's two things I wanted to bring up. One is he pretty much has reversed the Griffin direction with Hunt at hooker and Sullivan at halfback, and he said that we signed Ben Hunt to be a halfback. We signed Jacob Little to be a hooker. And hey, lo and behold, Zach Lomax is back in first grade. He also says that decision was made while Hook was still in the building. You fair enough with that?
Yeah. Look, I don't necessarily believe that decision was made when Hook was in the building. I think that's a little bit of. I think he's. I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think the new coach is. I'm not going to brand him a liar yet, but he's doing that. I think he's saying what he's saying to keep the group together rather than to draw a line between him and Griffin. He's trying to, but certainly the first thing that I think almost any coach would have done was to bring Little back, flick Mbai to Reggie's. I mean, he should never play NRL again as he is at the moment. I mean, he's ordinary, mate.
He's got to get a deal in the UK Super League. Just go over and you'll be a star.
He doesn't need it, mate. He's made plenty here. He's made plenty here. He doesn't need it. He doesn't give good service out of dummy half. His defence is okay. He's no good in attack. The bloke, to coin a phrase from my son, we call him an NPC. He's a non-participating character or a non-playable character. That's what he is. And he shouldn't be anywhere near that team or any NRL team. He has no business whatsoever, in my opinion. So
to be fair to Mbai on that comment, he does do the same thing week in, week out. He doesn't change, just like an NPC. Yep. The next comment I wanted to punt on is the self-belief factor you just touched and said. This is his comment. It was a real good week just to focus on what we can control. It's a good opportunity to go out there and put our DNA on the field and show what we are as a team, regardless of the opposition. Note number one, I'll come back to that. The second one, we're just trying to come together really tight as a team. I genuinely feel like we've got everything we need right here. We don't need anything else. The answers are here with us, and we just need to make it about us and stop worrying about everybody else and all the outside noise. Now, Hook Griffin's departure has allowed him to do that because the pressure will be off him for at least the next month. They won't be asking any questions. What I found funny about this whole soundbite is it sounded like it came straight out of that chat GP AI thing. It's like, I need something inspirational to say, just like a cut and paste from that program. Because it's ludicrous for him to sit there and say, the answers are here with us and we've got everything we need. Like, I'm sorry, you don't. And I want to see him change some things. I want to see him have a crack. You've got a perfect opportunity here, Ryan Carr, to put some resume out there because you need to change the DNA. What you've been showing and what this team's been showing for the last best part of a decade isn't going forward. It's not showing that the next step is on the horizon. Change things up, buddy, because if you think it's all still there and if you just, galvanize and all this garbage, they're not going to do anything. They're going to stay down the bottom.
I agree. I don't think they have everything they need there. But they do have the roster is good, right? The roster isn't as bad as 16th place. There's no way in the world the roster's that bad. I think they're a team. Even on an ordinary day, if they were playing to their ability, I think that team could finish around about 9th or 10th. Okay, They aren't a 16th place team in this competition. But Griffin had some funny ways about him. Other than being a funny kind of a dude in who he recruited, he also did some funny things like Sully and Lomax switching sides. Lomax has done nothing this year, right? And because he's not playing on the correct side. And Sully's not doing a whole lot either because, again, he's not playing on his correct side. He needs to switch those centres back to where they were last year when they could attack.
I reckon that'll happen this weekend. That's my prediction.
Well, they say that they took Lomax out of the position he was in because he kept flick passing it across the sideline.
That's his best asset.
But you know what?
It is.
Coach him. You're a coach. Coach him and make him more. I guess accountable for his mistakes. Don't just move him out of that position like a kid. That's what you're doing under nine.
It's a great point about
make him more accountable.
He seems like someone who, the moment that he got basically drafted as the Blues player, it's all gone downhill since. And he's just seemed like he's had this one man band of I can do anything I want. The stupid slam stuff he does in tackles. He seems like, and I know this is probably out of turn, but I'm going to say it anyway. He seems like a very selfish individual in regards to the team ethic. He does.
Well,
and I want to see him change that. I want to see him change that.
I think inherently NRL players are selfish individuals, and they have to be on a personal level to get where they've got to go. But it shouldn't come across in the team, and it kind of has with Lomax a little bit.
Yep.
But sitting him down treating him like a child, sitting him down and allegedly not talking to him for a couple of weeks. He's a grown man. Like, treat him like a man. He might be acting like a child, but treat him like a man. He's a man.
Yep.
Sitting players down and getting rid of your best players out of the team. I'm not sure if there was some kind of disobedience or some kind of a behaviour issue at training or whatever. But even then, you're paying the bloke $700,000 a year. He should be in your first string team. He's fit. He didn't play in the Reggies that week. So it'll be good to see him back. It'll be good to see him get, switch the sides again. And Ryan Carr has got probably a great opportunity here. He's probably wanted to be, I know he coached in the UK, but he's probably wanted to be an NRL coach, and he's got his golden opportunity for the next 15 weeks or whatever it is to have a crack and do the business. So,
quickly, two things to wrap up the Dragons part. They play the Roosters tonight. When you listen to this podcast, you might get in before then, you might not. It's sort of dated once I talk about this, but golden opportunity because you're playing a team that just got smashed by 40 points. They don't have their halfback. Haven't got their dominant centre /5/8. They look a bit of a rabble at the moment. Their coach has openly said, I'm not doing my job properly, and is capping no heat at all from the press. No shocks there. And let's see the bounce back. Let's see this DNA exposed from the Dragons, because you won't get an opportunity. And their fans, this is the second part of it. Coxsmith, they're actually averaging 4,000 more home fans this season than they did last year. It's the fans are turning up. So they're going to turn up tomorrow night, I reckon, because there's a lot of anti-Hook sentiment out there. I'll say this right now. They can save their season. I'm saying top 8, but they can save their season if they win against the Roosters. So let's see what happens as you listen to this podcast.
The season,
one I lost.
Because we've gone 11 weeks into a 25 round season, 26 round, 27, whatever it is. You don't need to finish in the top 8 to be successful from here. You just need to improve, get up into the 9, 10, 11, and it'll be considered a successful season for Ryan Carr and for the players who come back from second last. They've got it ahead of them, but I think they've got the roster to do it. So let's see how Coach Carr manages it.
And if Ryles gets the gig, the sounds of things, the Roosters are happy to let him go. Well, probably with a financial incentive. But what is really fascinating to me is what next year looks like roster-wise. At what stage can Ryles be involved in that? And that's the big question.
I think he has to be involved this year.
And that's what I'm saying. That's the big question. They've got to find a way to quickly get him involved in recruitment for next year, because they need players. They need a change in direction. They need a Tim Sheens to come in and get rid of all the dead weight, because he's doing wonders at the Tigers. Quickly, let's go to the referees. Last night there was an incident with the on-field ref and the State of Origin ref, Ashley Klein in the box. Quickly, Coxsmith, give me your summation of what happened.
It was a dog's breakfast, really. I mean, Reece Walsh competed for a bomb that was put up down on Penrith's line, and look, in my mind, I mean, I think ultimately the correct decision came through, but I think Tony Staggs scored a try off of that bomb. Subsequent after Reece Walsh went up for the high ball. Tony Staggs scored a try, and Adam G, the referee, sent it to the bunker to have a look at. One of the first things as no try. One of the first things that Ashley Klein in the box said was, Reece Walsh is competing for the ball. And what does he say verbatim? He said, Reece Walsh is competing
we've cleared the contest.
And we've cleared the contest. We're playing on from here. and then about 5 seconds later, they show it again. But something happened just before he even competed for the ball. He pushed somebody in the back.
No, he basically ran through and threw his body forward into Tyrone Peach to take him out, and then he turns his body to then compete for the ball. So He's trying to hide the fact that what he's doing at the start.
Yeah. So he took two players out, the guy competing for the ball and another player. I think it might have been Sorensen. He pushed him out of the way.
He pushed him out of the way. Yep.
So Adam G, he hears what Klein said about cleared, I've cleared that, but he's just competing. And then Adam G says, and you hear him on the mic, and this is why I want the mics always on.
Yeah.
Because they say stuff to each other that we clearly don't hear, and they didn't want us to hear this bit.
Yep.
But Adam G says to him, "Oh, Ash, no, that doesn't look right. Something doesn't look right." And then on the very next view, not 30 seconds later, on the very next view, Ashley Klein says, and I'm not quoting, but something along the lines of, Reece Walsh.
We're just looking at Reece
Walsh
out,
and he takes the player out. He just cleared him. Mate, I was screaming at the TV last night. I couldn't believe what I heard. I said to Kim, "This is like." I said to Kim, my wife, I said, "This is like discovering the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. We've just seen something and heard something we shouldn't see and hear."
Yep.
It was a dead set G up, mate. I think Adam G got it right in the end, even though I don't think he had a great game. Just quietly, I think he got that one right. There were so many baffling decisions in that game last night, and he kept waving his hand above his head and giving 6 to goes. And I mean, look, fair play. They do have a job that is an unenviable job. I wouldn't want to do it. The pressure, but they signed up for it. I didn't sign up for it. No one's forced them to do it, and they're under the pump this year, the refs, for very many and varied reasons, but mostly because again, that old word, they can't be consistent. It's impossible for them to be consistent.
Well, they're backpedaling on foul play and hip drops and all this kind of stuff. Apparently now they've finally got a video together after 10 weeks of what a hip drop is. That seems like something you might have had up your sleeve after a week if you'd been fair dinkum about it. But I just want to quickly go back to that decision, because this was an interesting point I got asked on Twitter. I just sort of posted, I can't believe the State of Origin ref cleared that. That's ridiculous. And someone said, well, why did the referee refer it to the bunker if he thought it was no try? And here is the problem with the whole bunker. All right. That's process. And you've heard me bang on about this word for years, because I've sat in the bunker as games have been done, and I've heard how it works. Because they have a bunker and they've spent all this money and they're continuing to spend all this money, they have to justify the bunker. So there are processes in place that when a try or a no try or a possible try is happened over the line, they have to use the bunker if they think it's no try. Or whether they think it's definitively no try, they're not going to. You very rarely see a referee go, no try, we won't check it at all, because they have to use the process. And this is why we had Klein get the opportunity to stuff up, because he gets called into a play that the on-field refs already said, I don't think it's a try. It's only because the process says you have to use the bunker that we saw this happen. And the biggest problem I've got out of it is, as we understand it, the on-field ref can't overrule what the bunker does. But that's pretty much what happened.
He did.
And it happened
he did
twice.
last night.
It happened twice because the Marty Tapu high shot that should have been 10 in the bin, that's a bad... I don't know if he's got... we're recording it just before 10 o'clock, so I guess we'll find out soon. That was a bad tackle on Lindsay Smith.
Well, mate, I mean, look, this isn't the only one. Let's cast our mind back a couple of weeks when Jared Weir-Hargraves copped one across the chops and told the fella he's going to crack him, right? That should have been 10 in the bin every day of the week. That was high. It was at least careless, and it was right across his middle of his face. And yet, to Power last night gives it to...
a year ago, Coxsmith, remember when Matt Lodge got that penalty against Canberra for barely getting touched on the face, and the video ref interjected, and it cost Canberra the game, and it's just an example. But that's apparently serious enough to cost someone 2 points, yet we've had these incidents. Moses Leota last week.
And this is why we're talking about it, because it's frustrating, and people probably like Annesley can't understand, well, why are they talking about it? You know why? Because it pisses us off. That's why. It's like you want to watch a game of rugby league and you go, okay, well, that should be a sin bin, or that's a penalty. I understand it, but when it's not, you feel like, hold on, why isn't it tonight? Is something going on? Is someone on the take? Is someone what's going on?
The Taruva try. You know the rule for double movement's changed. If your torso ends up over the line, you can do whatever you like before the line.
Yeah.
I mean, explain that to me, honestly. Like, Anyway.
The bunker thing, Scott Sorensen's try.
Oh.
He did knock it on, but only if you slow it down into super slow-mo. There's probably 2 or 3 frames there where he's scooping the ball. And who knows, that ball may not have been touching the ground when he did that. He could have been,
I thought they interpreted that it maybe
pedantic.
touched the Broncos player as he pulled it back to him. That's the only thing I could think of that they've tried and find. And anyway.
What they said was he scooped the ball and he's pushed the ball into his other hand along the ground, which constitutes, he said, Ashley Klein says that constitutes a knock on.
And then we saw back the Tepa U one, we saw the ref basically say, "No, I need to put this on report," after the video ref cleared it. Like, please. That was bad.
Was it too late in the game to give 10?
Yeah. Well, apparently that's where that's
stay on the field, mate.
And the other one, I've just had a blank. What was it? No, I've killed myself because it was a good one. Give me some thinking music, Coxsmith. No, I've blanked completely. Just like us for the last 5 weeks. That's episode.
There was a couple of There was a couple of times last night. There was a couple of times last night, mate, where you actually heard the referee. There was a knock on that he didn't know if it was a knock on or not, but he's ruled a scrum, and you could hear him say, "Hey, Ash, will you quickly check that one for me, mate?"
Don't be relying on him.
How many times does this happen in a game? What did you want to say? You got a minute and a half.
It was the James Fisher-Harris excessive tackling.
Excessive force. It wasn't a cannonball. It was just a hard tackle. And yeah, it was a little unsavoury. A bloke standing up, he comes in from behind and he wedges him with his shoulder. But that's no penalty.
Look, it's a cheap shot,
no rule broken.
It's legal.
Yeah.
It's like, honestly, it reminded me of that scene from The Blind Side when the big fella picks up the guy who's been taunting him all night and just takes him to the end of the road, and he goes, he needs to go back on the bus, or whatever he says it. And I'm like, that was just exactly the same thing.
Not against the rules. Not against the rules.
That's episode 291. We were doing this for 20 minutes. It's gone for 40. Deal with it. Cool. I've been Warrick Nicolson. That's been Robb Cox. Hopefully your Dragons show some fight tonight, mate. And if you're listening to this podcast after they've shown some fight, too, exclusively predicted, if you're listening to it after they got belted again, well, that's pretty much what this Dragons board has put together. So good luck, Jason Ryles, eh?
Good luck, mate. I will talk to you over the weekend. Take it easy, brother. Talk soon.
Pepsi?
Not the Footy show.
We are one different.
Yep. What do you got?
Canberra aren't making the finals this year.
Oh, stop it. I'm hanging up. I got to go, mate. The bars are calling me. The honky tonks are playing my tune. What are you talking about?
Not the Footy show.
You been sleeping over there?
Pepsi.